So today we're going to take a look at these Elora 770L ratchets. So I actually have two of the identical ratchet here. They're from slightly different time periods. My guess is that this one right here is a little bit older, just based on the markings and the patina. So since I have two of these, I think I'm actually going to send this one right here to the junkie because he says he needs some ratchets to restore. So the main reason I'm giving this one away also is right in here, it's extremely rough. Like, you probably can't even use this without gloves because you probably would get, scraped or cut from some of these burrs that are on here. So somebody was taking something like a hammer or something to the edge of this side and this side. So that's going to be, when he restores this, that's going to be his main challenge, is somehow grinding this down. So you can see there, it looks like the chrome finish is still intact. So I don't know if that was probably heat related or not, but it's going to be up to him how he wants to restore this. It's a pretty simple restoration. There's really not many parts to these types of ratchets. It's actually one of the simplest ratchet mechanisms I've ever seen. So this is the one I'm going to restore now. So we'll clean this up, service it, make sure everything's good. So one of the issues when buying these is the keys always seem to be missing. And you can buy these push-through keys. Many manufacturers make them if you ever get one lost. But this style obviously went out of fashion because of the size of the head here. You can't really get it into tight places. So we'll go ahead and open this up and see what we got. We also got this guy up here. It came with one of these. I think it was this one. It came with it. It was part of a lot that you had to buy. Couldn't buy it separately. And it's got basically no markings on it. The only marking it's got is this 12.5. Some other kind of marking up here with the arrows. It's hard to tell. Somebody said they thought this might be a Russian-made ratchet. So we'll open it up. It doesn't feel very nice. I think there might be something wrong with it. Alrighty, so the last one of these I took out was a 3/4 inch drive, and I had a heck of a time getting this screw out because I think it was pipe threaded. It was more of a set screw, but what I'm seeing here, this one looks like it's actually flanged. So it shouldn't take much force to get this out, I'm guessing. So we'll just try it with a regular screwdriver. Oh yeah, that turned like no problem at all. So there's our screw. And then we got a spring behind that. And the anvil should come out. So I'm just going to use this magnet to get down in there and pull it out, just like that. So that's all that is just a piece of stock, it looks like. It was chamfered. It's still lubricated. There's a little bit of grease in there. After you pull that anvil out, this whole thing will just pull right out. And that's pretty much it. That's all it's to these types of ratchets. It's definitely got a lot less parts than you would see in, typical design ratchets these days. Even though there's only like basically a single tooth equivalent here, you have a lot of surface area that is touching on this, what I'm calling the anvil. I don't know if that's the correct term or not. So these tend to be very strong ratchets, these types of designs. And this one looks like it doesn't have had that much use, or it's just been very well maintained. I'm not seeing any issues there. I don't see any rust or anything. So we shouldn't need to do any de-rusting. What I basically do is I just throw these into the sonic cleaner. And then once we do that, we can reevaluate to see if there's any other repairs we need to make. Alright, so now that we got that one taken apart, let's go ahead and take this one out. So it looks like there's just like a simple clip here. All right, there we go. So this mechanism is a little bit more complex than I thought it was going to be. It looks like I'm not even sure you can get into it. This looks like you got a pin here that holds this pawl, and it looks to be driven in a blind hole, so there's going to be no way to get that out. The only thing you might be able to do is to pop this front cover off. I'm not even sure if that will pop out. So I don't think I've ever quite seen a design like this before. You look down in there, there's a pin. It pushes up on the pawl here. And then when you turn this, it moves it to the other side. It's probably hard to see in this view. But I think the way you have to basically get that pin pushed in, and then this thing will probably come out, but can't seem to get it. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I think I'm just going to try to lubricate this and clean it up a bit. I think that's all. The only problem it had, it just wasn't lubricated at all. I mean, you can see in here. So we got the pieces out of the sonic cleaner, and I think they turned out pretty nicely. Everything cleaned up really nice on this piece. Now there is a little bit of chrome chipping on the edges here down where you put your hand. So what I think I'm going to do here is I'm just going to feather in those places where the chrome was chipped, just using some very fine grit sandpaper. And up around here, though, I didn't see any chrome damage at all. And no rust, which is always a good thing. Alright, so I think we're ready to go ahead and reassemble this thing. So for lubrication, for something like this, I'm just going to use some basic bearing grease. I find works pretty well. It really doesn't make that big of a difference. With something like an open design like this, a lot of people prefer to just use oil. And that's probably how I'll maintain this, is by using an oil. But because the parts here are so large, I worry that oil is so light, it might not get into all the gaps. Alright, now we should just be ready to put the screw back in. Before I do that, I'm going to put some 3-in-1 oil kind of in here to act kind of like as a reservoir for this ratchet. Yeah, it's gonna leak oil for a little bit, but that'll help it maintain good lubrication. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. And I'm basically going to do the same thing on this guy. Alright, so for the last step, I like to oil the outside of these with Ballistol. Seems to work quite well for this. These little tissues are actually called we call them Kim wipes. I think that's the name of them. They won't give off any residue or flake off like a paper towel would. Use them for like cleaning delicate instruments. Alrighty, so I think we got that ratchet pretty much finished. So as for this mystery ratchet, I wasn't able to get it apart, so I think all I'm just going to do here is kind of get it nice and lubricated, because it doesn't look like it ever has been lubricated before. And we'll just put a tiny bit of grease in there. It actually doesn't sound too bad. It's just switching it seems to be the problem. I mean, it's not a horrible ratchet design. It's just kind of unusual, because in order to switch the direction, you have to hold on to the drive here. Because watch what happens if I just try to move it. Yeah, so once you get it in the right gear, or the right direction you want it, doesn't work too bad. It's got a lot of drag to it though. Backlash. So does anybody recognize these symbols? Somebody said that they thought this might be Russian. So I don't know anything about the Russian alphabet, about whether that means left or right. So it's definitely an unusual ratchet. I think I'm going to keep this one just because I've never seen that design before. It's kind of unusual. And it still works. Looks to be in not too bad a condition. Then we're just going to do the same thing that we did on the other one. We'll just clean up the outside here. A little bit of ballast tool. Alrighty guys, well I think that's going to wrap it up for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little mini ratchet restoration video. And I'll catch you guys next time.